What's up, everybody? You already know who it is. It is your girl, Pastor Latuska Power. And today I have a guest, Miss Yaminah Israel. And we are going to be talking in spirit and truth. Yaminah, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're in the bio.
Okay, it's probably better you read the bio because when anyone asks me about myself, I tend to not remember all the things. But I am a child of God foremost, and I am here to lift spirits, heal hurts, and teach a new way of being. I am an entrepreneur. I own my own real estate brokerage company. I am a transform life coach, a heart centered coach. I help women to reconnect with that dream that you came here with, that you probably put on hold, somewhere on the back burner or way deep down inside your heart while you've been taking care of your family, your husbands, your friends, and everybody else. So I am here with my good friend Latiska here to speak from our spirit, to speak to your spirit, to have a conversation. So we welcome you and thank you for inviting me to be here.
Thank you for coming. I will tell you this. I had to learn a little bit about self love for myself. Learning how to accept myself, learning to accept my past, knowing that I couldn't change it, but I could do everything about my present. Um, I had to learn a lot, like within the last 5 years, about Latiska, and I had to do a lot of journey into my own soul. Like, is this something that was good for me, or was I doing things that were good for other people, and just really holding myself back? And I had to come to the realization that it was my life. I had to live it out, and I wanted to live it out loud. I wanted to sing.
Well, you can't keep that bird cage forever. It may seem like forever, and it's okay because the journey is divinely orchestrated. We made the choices. We always make the choices. There's always free will, and we can always change our choices. So there's nothing to regret about the choices that we made and the journey that we've had up to this point. Because what it does do is provide us with everything we need for now and for making new choices and going forward. So there are no mistakes, no reason to regret anything, and you do have to go within. And sometimes we have to reconcile that it's okay being who we have been and
Mhm.
traveling the journey that we've been on. So it's all good.
And I'm gonna say this: I wouldn't take a day of my life back, because being a pastor, minister, it allows me to not have fear when I go into certain areas. It allows me to know that wherever I am, I'm safe. I really know that I'm safe because I've attached myself to the spirit of God in me. You know, and when I was younger, I was fearful of every freaking thing. I was so scared to just speak my truth, so scared to walk in my own uniqueness. I was just scared of everything. Like, how they gonna accept me? Will I be accepted? Will I be invited to go here? And will I be able to flourish just being me? And I found in life, yes, yes.
Well, on a one to one basis, I am okay with sharing, but is getting in front of a group of people that has intimidated me for a while, and that too has been very fearful for me. It's about that judgment piece. What will they say? What will they think? Who am I to come here and show up? And um, that's been the pattern of my life for a very long time. So I've shown up in many ways, but I've not truly shown up. I've almost spent my life, I feel like I was invisible although I have accomplished quite a few things. Like I did not mention that I've authored 2 books. Um, I started my career as a fashion designer. I do speak out. People are drawn to me and end a conversation, and at some point they end up saying, you don't know what you did for me. Well, I'm just having conversation, but God, the spirit, being that attractive
That
force,
light, yeah,
that
that light.
light, yeah, it draws people because I have something to offer, not necessarily knowing that that's the case, but I do know it. But again, not valuing who you are enough to be safe enough to show up on a consistent basis is something I've had to and am still working my way through right now.
Well, I do understand that. I will tell you this. Sometimes I overbook myself, like, and I had to have this conversation with myself this week for real. You're laughing, but for real, I said, you know what? I would rather make a promise to myself because one of the guys that I do volunteer work, right, and feed the homeless people. And so one of the other people on the team said, well, it's about being consistent. And so I said, well, why would I be consistent for you? And I'm not even being consistent for me. And I had to really have that conversation with myself. Like, what makes you so much more important in my mind that I got to be consistent for you and I got to show up on time for you? But I won't even do that for myself. So now I've got to stand in this mirror and do some mirror work and show up for Latiska Simone Power because this is her life.
Well, it is all about self care. And the fact that we are women, we are nurturers, it is in our DNA to put other people in front of us, even at the expense of not giving ourselves the same high level and standard of love and care, nurturing, and attention that we give to others. So that too is a pattern that I've I've had in my past, and I still, as you say, overbook. You should see my to-do list. It's crazy. It is so crazy. And the most important thing is to check in with yourself first, which is checking in with your spirit, with the God you inside, um, so that you can prep your day for what is to come, so that you can center yourself, so that you can come from a full well and not be
Okay.
depleted from get go. So, yes, that morning thing and checking in at any time during the day when you're feeling like, okay, I need to just stop and take a break. Just stop.
And then honor yourself. Honor yourself enough to freaking stop. It's okay to stop. As
Yes,
women, we were taught to multitask and do several things within an hour, and that's draining.
it is
That's
very
draining.
draining because we're about the do. We don't recognize that in the stopping, in the stillness, we are allowing ourselves to be guided and led, as opposed to the way I've been thought to live my life is a constant gotta, just making it happen by any means necessary. And we do it, and we do a great job, and we accomplish a lot of things. But I've come to recognize that we are beings. We are here to be, and we don't have to do everything on our own, which again
Mhm.
has been my thing. I've got to do it. Like there's no one to help me, but there is help. And we just have
And
to
I
be open to it, to
and I'm
receiving.
gonna say this: I had to work through the thing called pride. I had to work through the thing called pride because I was one of those women. Okay, Latiska was adopted, so Latiska always felt like, well, I've always been on my own, baby. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And yes, I have accomplished a lot on my own, but it's nothing like being beside people that can help you further in your journey. Things don't have to be as complicated as we make them in our lives, because we won't open up our mouths and say, hold up, I need some help. I really need your help. I need, I just cannot be the person that's always pouring in the inspiration. Sometimes I need somebody to call me to pour in some inspiration to me. Sometimes I need someone to leave put a Facebook post and just say, hey, Latuska, I'm smiling at you today. Just something to let you know that all of the things that you're pouring into others, that they take enough time to realize, oh, well, let me pour something back in her. Because relationships are about giving and receiving. And if you're always giving, you find yourself drained.
Yes, and an important part of that, being in relationship with other people, is in an aligned relationship. You want to be with a like-minded people, someone who feel what you feel and understand what you feel. They don't have to be just like you, because no one can be, because we're all unique and individual, and we're all
Mm-hmm.
perfect, whole,
Mm-hmm.
and complete. And I've never ever really felt like there was anybody who cared enough to pour into me. Although it doesn't stop me, my spirit is loving and giving, and so in the exchanges is what fills me up, because it's that connection, that connecting. So yeah, it's nice to be recognized, to have
Mm-hmm.
someone give you a kind word, like you say, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about you. It
Yeah.
makes a difference.
And just to hear the word, I love you, like a lot of my posts, I just say, I love you, because I know a lot of us don't hear it. We don't hear that word. Even from my children sometimes. Sometimes it's just, can you do this and can you do that? Give me this and give me that. But it's never, you know what? I just wanted to say, I love you today. Really didn't want nothing at all. But I realized I hadn't been to you who you've been to me.
Okay. Well, I grew up in a family that didn't tell each other I love you. Like, my mom wasn't that warm, fuzzy person. She was doing what she needed to do as a single mom. But I always make it, as you said, a point with my kids to tell them I love them. And if we were in person, if I met you for the first time, I would give you a hug. And I'm pretty sure before it's all over, I would tell you I love you, because I love everybody.
Mhm. Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you this about loving everybody, because
Uh-huh.
I get this all the time. Latiska, how can you love everybody? Yaminah, how can you love everybody?
Because that's who we are. That's who we are at our core. And um, love does not mean I want to go to bed with you. So
Mm,
so people equate love with. You've got to take it to that intimate, be right
mhm,
there at that place kind of love. But love
mhm,
is caring about others, about sharing with others, about seeing the person,
mhm,
about recognizing who they are inside at their core, not what
mhm,
they're wearing, not what the hair looks like, not the outside superficial stuff, but actually connecting with the person, looking them in their eyes, and being able to have a conversation, and to just be open, to be present, to be there. So that's what love is.
I agree that being vulnerable enough with another, you know, that is what love is, and it's not about who you are, and I have seen some of the worst, you know what I'm saying, what we could consider the worst. And
Hmm.
by the time I finish a conversation with them, oh, it's a whole nother person in front of you, because they have never had anyone to pour anything into them positive,
Again,
you
it's
know.
because we are all the same. Your circumstances are sure to be different, or they could be the same. You could be from a different culture. It really doesn't matter. We are all the same. We all come from the same place, which is something that we forget and don't recognize, because we're taught to be separate. We're taught to be to not have connection. But the human spirit is one. We come from
Amen.
one place, one source. So that in itself is enough to love other people.
Amen. Because you know God loves them. God loves them first and set them forth at such a time as this for a reason, just to have an interaction with you. And like I say a lot, I'm the God in me is looking for the God in you.
And you don't
And
have
can
to
I?
look. You don't even
But
have to look.
listen. Some people you have to look for it. Some it's so hidden. You
You
know,
don't
it's so hidden. You know, they are. What do you? How do you kind of say? Sculpted in the world. Say you know it's there. I know it's in you. So I'm just gonna stand here and I'm gonna find you, baby, in a few minutes. You know, and so being present with that, like understanding that everybody has a life experience. I hear your experience. I understand your experience. But as in your right now, your present time right now, what is the greatest expansion of consciousness that you've had?
My greatest expansion of consciousness is knowing that I am created in the image of she who created everything. And
Mm-hmm.
that being the case, I can be, have, and do anything that I choose to do. So that's expansion, that's power, that's freedom. It gives you the right to walk in this world without having fear and knowing that you're provided for and taken care of and all of your needs are met. So in this moment right now, in everybody's moment who's here, Janet, um, Restream, um, Latista, right now in this moment, all
Mm-hmm.
is well. Everything is good. In
Okay.
this moment, I'm not worried about anything else. So again, the widest consciousness is being able to stop and be centered in this moment so that the expansion just keeps you safe and reminds you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a long-winded thing. I hope it meant something.
Yeah, and I think that's my expansion to realize that I am that created me, and that wherever I am, that is with me, and that I will always have what I need when I need it. I am loved beyond compare, and no matter what is happening in my life, these things cannot stay. You know, they can't. Everything comes to pass. You know, comes to pass. And so, though the storms may be raging sometimes in my own consciousness, because that's where they're really raging in my own consciousness. Once I gain that peace and I get back centered, then the storm stops.
And what we are experiencing in our environment, in the mind, and in our environment around us are based on choices that we made yesterday and last year and 20 years ago. And so we see that manifestation today because we're always creating in this moment. So when you are here centered now, you're creating a new tomorrow, a new 10 minutes from now, a new future. So it all does come to pass. But if you're still making the same choices and still in the same mind space and your spirit is still filled with the same stuff that you're seeing now, you're going to continue to have that. So when we can stop and think of new thoughts and then do the new action that comes with the new thought, which is growth and evolution, then who we are, and what we have show up in our lives are going to reflect our new way of being. So it does come to pass. We got a little bit of work to do on ourselves.
And
Looking
that's all
inside
the time.
all
Look. That's the only person we should be working with is ourselves.
that's the first person we need to be working with, which
Because
is
that's how can I help you and I don't have the knowledge or the expansion to truly help you.
Well, you can be a help to others when they come to you and say, this is going on. And then you just in conversation start to help them to see where they've been in the past, what has been their predominant thought and the actions that they've been taking, and find out you know, if that is if it's bothersome to them now, and if they're ready to maybe take a look and see how those things showed up, so you can be there to help um, take inventory of what has brought into our now, what has caused that to happen and how it can change. So we can't change it. They've got to change it. But sometimes, someone needs to have a conversation with the Latiska.
Ooh. And you know who I found the best person to talk to when I'm going through something is
Oh.
Latiska. Because all of the answers are inside of each person. And so often we go outside of ourselves thinking something outside of us can give us the answer. And I do understand the reason for speaking, but at some point in time, you got to realize you're really talking to yourself. You're not talking to another person.
That is why we should start with a morning practice. Take the first few minutes to thank God, have some gratitude and appreciation, and then just sit there. And even so much as looking back at yesterday, saying, well, yesterday this happened, and how's it making me feel today? So it's always about checking in and checking in first with you, because all the well-meaning people in the world cannot tell you who you are and about you. They That's the outside in looking, outside in living, and trust me, I've been there, and I'm still looking
Mm-hmm.
outside a lot of the times. But I know that all of the answers are truly within. It's a
Uh-huh.
conversation with you and your spirit, with
And
you
even
and
though,
that
like,
which created you.
even with us speaking right now, it's only one person here. You
That is
understand what I'm
why
saying?
you can love everyone, because we are
Yeah,
all the one.
it's only one person here. And so I'm gonna tell you something that I do in the morning. I don't go back into my past. That's something I don't do in my past. When I go to sleep at night, this day is over with. I'm grateful for everything that took place in this day, even the things that, I didn't kind of understand. I try to rewrite the story before I go to sleep. I begin to be thankful while I'm going into sleep. I wake up in the morning, pray over my mind, keep my mind clear. And the next thing I do is I proceed to say, in my current reality today, I am happy. In my current reality, everything is going my way. In my current reality, and that's how I start my morning, because the Bible says for us to speak our day into existence. So by this being my new life, I'm waking up, this is my new life. So this is my current reality. These are the things that I expect within this day. And so I speak those things so that the universe can hear me. Yaminah, you
Okay,
frozen?
so yeah, same thing. Every day is a new beginning. Every moment is a new beginning. So yeah, you do have to have something that you wake up in the morning with, that again points you in the right direction. And I believe it begins with thank you first, and
Mm-hmm.
gratitude and appreciation. And when you have those things, then everything else just is like a cherry
Comes
on
together.
top.
Mhm.
It's the icing
And,
on
the,
top of
and
the cake.
finding that place. And you know what I found? I used to say, thank you, blank. Thank you for this, blank, and fill it in. And I began to just say, thank you, because I realized I was missing some stuff. It was a lot of blessings that I didn't even recognize because my consciousness was not aware of them. Because every moment of the day, we're manifesting every moment of the day. I'm not consciously aware of every manifestation throughout the day. So I just begin to just say thank you and leave it blank, like, oh my God, just thank you. Because this day has been truly amazing. Now I remember prior to me understanding what gratitude was, prior to me understanding what a manifestation was, prior to me knowing that Latuska was that she was, all of these things prior to, and the mindset that I had prior to all of this. And then walking this spiritual journey back to self, to remember who I truly am. It is such a dynamic journey.
Well, it is an ongoing journey because, like how you said, introduce myself, and I said, I never even remember all the things. You can't remember all the things to be thankful for. So prayer is simplicity. Thank you is all that you need because it says thank you. I don't have to break it down ABC 1 2 3. Just thank you because it all is, and I am, and our lives are fabulous every single day when we really just understand that in this moment everything is good. So if in this moment everything is good and you are here, you woke up the next day, you're here now, how can it not be good? And when you can think of the manifestations that you created in this one day, it's just it's humbling. It's enough that it should cause you to say thank you and that you should have gratitude and appreciation because God is with you. You're filled with the Spirit of God. You are a creator. You are creating every day and all the time in all the ways. And if something shows up that looks a little rocky, then that's where you need to come back to center and take a look at what's been on your mind because it begins in the mind with the thoughts, which
And
we can
the scripture
control.
says that. Look, the scripture says that which is done secretly will be rewarded outwardly towards man. That's the only thing that we do in secret.
And
Our thoughts.
it's only a
We
secret for a
think
moment because, as you just said, it will be
it
revealed
will
to you outwardly. It will show up in your face.
it will manifest. Look,
It
I'm
will
gonna
manifest.
today. I do this often. I pay attention to it. Whatever I think about, I notice it just happens. It just happens. It just happens. That's because I'm consciously aware of it happening. I remember when I thought life just happened. I didn't think I was the creator of it. But I remember when I just thought things happened to me, and I had that victim mentality. I'm a victim of something. No, then I began to understand. Hold up. Some of these things I were expecting. Some of these things I had assumptions about. Some of these things brought forth the evidence of how I was feeling on the inside. So now, if I begin to change the way I feel about a thing, but then in order to change how you feel about a thing, you also have got to become aware of your belief of that thing that you're trying to change. Because life is given to you according to your belief. So now, if I'm trying to change something, but my core says, hold up, no, it don't work like that. You know, no, we don't better manifest that in 24 hours because that's my core belief. And that means I have to work on that core belief. Why is it I can't manifest when I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me? I can do it when the beginning of creation, let there be light. I should be able to say, let there be, but it was because of so much taught behavior
Hmm.
or so many things that were taught to me or so many things I've experienced in life has my belief centers like, oh my, you just in certain areas. I'm noticing like in certain areas of my life, like, why is your belief this when your belief should really be over here? All things are possible. So I say that often. So I want my cells to understand. I want them to begin to respond. All things are possible. It is not a time on when a thing can manifest. If I can manifest this, I know God darn well I can manifest this. And you're not gonna keep playing with me, subconscious mind. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing I cannot have when I ask. And mind you, it's already given. The book says before you can ask a thing, I already know.
Right.
So now, before I could even ask the thing, it was already dispatched because I've asked the question. Anything you ask, I will give it to you. Okay.
Well,
So
you
now
said,
I ask.
yeah, you said quite a few things, and I want to try to go back. So, being aware of something that you had in your mind that you thought about, and you see the evidence of it, like it's like putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Like it's like how when you think about somebody and then they call you, it's that same kind of thing. It's that it's creating, it's manifesting, and we don't see that as creating and manifesting. So when we start to be aware that the things that we've thought of have actually come to pass, like you planted those seeds somewhere along the way. And when you get to the place where you can recognize that, hey, that's what I wanted, and here it is. It may not be show up in the same exact way that you thought you wanted it, but the essence
Mhm,
of the thing is there.
mhm,
And you mentioned, of course, it begins with the thought. And you said the belief that you have about the thought, that's about the feeling. If
mhm,
you're thinking one thing, but you're feeling like, but that can't happen to me,
mhm,
things don't happen for me, then they're not going to happen because you don't really believe
mhm,
that you can have the thing. So it's alignment. It's that
mhm,
one thing. It's got to be your mind's got to be right. Your heart's got to be right. I call it mind, body, soul
mhm,
alignment.
mhm,
Everything has to be pointing north
mhm,
together at the same time because it's like driving with the foot on the gas and the foot on the brake. That doesn't work. You
at
just like
all.
kind of stay kind of stuck. So when you
Mhm,
start recognizing um, you creating that things are coming into your life that you've actually thought about and not even thought about a lot, but it came into your mind, it was shown to you because most times what we're getting is
mhm,
shown to us. And it may take a while before it shows up, but if we just be in gratitude and thankfulness and just start moving in the direction of a thing that we say we want,
mhm.
it'll show up.
And I can say that about life and me sometimes, as far as what we were talking about earlier, being in alignment and keeping these promises to yourself, showing up for yourself. Yeah, sometimes you go hard. I can tell you sometimes I go hard. I just go in. And then I go so hard till I'm just completely drained, right? And so now I got to back up, sit down, get my woosah back, whew, breathe, so I could get the energy back up. Because the inspiration is always there. And it's like, how do you cut the faucet off that is pouring in such good stuff? Like you just have to release, have to release, have to release. Because it's like, how do you cut that faucet off?
Well, you can't really shut the faucet off, but you can sit down and stop. Because
Mhm.
again, we're not human doings. We are human beings. And it is okay to stop the world, get off, and just say, I'm just going to be. We have to take that time, which leads me to like God created everything in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested.
Mhm.
And I take that to heart. And I give myself, I do it on Saturday from sundown Friday, sundown Saturday. That's when I connect with God, connect inside, just let the world do what it's going to do because it will be there when I pick it up on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
So I give that to myself. And again, we can do that in the 5 minutes today, in the 5 minutes in the middle of the day. We can do it when we stop and get a massage. When we stop and do something that make us feel good, come back to us, come back home, come back inside to do that inner reflection because we need rest. We need to rejuvenate. We need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to keep going because, again, it's not all about us. It's not us doing it all. So we're in a dance and a relationship with our spirit. Sometimes we just need to stop and listen for what's next. So,
And ask that question. And how about ask that question? What is my next right move?
exactly.
What
It's
is
about
my highest outcome? Tell me what I can do to receive my highest outcome.
being in that relationship, and you have to stop and get it. And in terms of, you said something, you didn't say missing out, but we are inspired all the time. And I journal. Like when the thought comes to me, I pull out my journal and I write it down because if I don't, it will get lost in the cracks. And I've
Mm-hmm.
started using technology. I say, hey, Siri, make a note for me. And she says, well, what do you want it to say? And then I will give it that inspiration, that thought I had, and it will be captured for me. So I don't have to keep it all in my mind because I can only hold so much in this little tiny human mind that I have here.
And
So,
I'm going to say, well, we have infinite intelligence in this human mind. In this human mind is the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. The three minds of all knowledge is in this one brain. A lot of the times we are running off of the subconscious mind, but we are living off of our conscious mind, whatever we are aware of, whatever our consciousness is aware of. So one of my prayers is always, Lord, allow me to see what I am unaware of right now.
hmm, right.
Expand my consciousness so that I can see what I have not been aware of. Because I understand my awareness is everything.
All right. So you asked about expanding consciousness. So that's how you do it. You ask for the guidance. You're like, okay, show me what I'm not seeing. Help me
Mhm.
to recall what I know, but that I can't pull up out of me right now. So it's
And
really,
then why am I blocking it? Then asking those questions like, why am I blocking myself from the revelation of what already is? Why is that so? What is this about?
well, often it's because we don't get up out of the world enough. We're so busy on the outside with everybody else, with everything that's being um what's the word? It's like all the stimulation, with all the
Mhm.
stuff that we're being bombarded with every single day. It's
Mhm.
hard to kind of separate the stuff from the stuff that matters
Mhm.
and that really
Mhm.
means something. That's a part of the reason why, and that's why it's so important to step off the merry-go-round. It's okay. We're not going to miss anything. As a matter of fact, we'll gain a whole that expansion and that ending. So it is better for us and for our health and our well-being and our spirituality and our manifestations in our lives to go inside, to just stop.
Amen. I'm gonna say now. I'm gonna tell you my way. One of the ways, there's a few ways I like to be grounded. I like to ground myself in the world, putting my feet in the dirt and playing in the dirt, gardening. Just planting. Oh, those are the two for me. So, what is grounding for you?
Well, I love nature. I had a garden once, but it's hard. It's hard work and it's fun. Like I grew more weeds than I grew anything else. But
Mhm.
gardening is good. I can just sit in my chair in my backyard and soak up the sun and feel the breeze caressing my face and blowing across my body, watching the eagles. I love watching the eagles fly. They represent so much to me. Like they're so
Mhm.
powerful. They're free. They're abundant. Um, they you can't stop them. Just looking at how the birds chirp and fly from branch to branch, and they don't worry about where their next meal is coming from. And nature just teaches you that there's so much more out there and everything is taken care of and provided for, so why not me? So that
Mhm.
is grounding for me. Taking a walk, going to the gym. I love to dance. Just anything that makes you feel good. It's that self-care piece that will ground you, whether it's playing in the dirt. And yes, I'm a country girl. I was born in Alabama, and I love walking barefoot in the yard. Like my son used to walk around the backyard spitting, and I'm like, "Don't do that because I'm walking out here." So there's a certain reference to outside, to nature.
And
It's
I'm gonna tell you this: I've never really liked shoes. I remember even as a little girl, I would prefer walking barefooted everywhere I went
it's what we did in the South. You just
because
went outside.
that's getting that contact with Mother Earth and knowing that she's the provider and letting that kind of get into your skin, which it just gets in you. Like it's like a safety in that,
It's
you
like when you're
know,
standing out in the sun and you can feel the
the
warmth.
rays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no better feeling to me. I soak it in. Like
Hmm.
it feels so. I love the summertime. That way, I can like start peeling off the layers and letting nature do her thing.
Hmm. And getting that vitamin D back up. Like in the wintertime, and this is so crazy because the sun is always out. I don't care if it's raining, if it's cloudy, the sun is always doing what the sun does. We're just so unaware of it doing what it does, right? And so a lot of us will follow the weather. Like if it's rainy and gloomy, we have this rainy and gloomy kind of. And I'm like, I don't care what I see outside. I know the sun is up. Not only is the sun up, the light is on in me. And so I'm the light of the world when it's cloudy, then I become the light.
Well, I'm happy when it rains because
Hmm.
it waters my grass,
It purifies the air.
purifies the air, gives us the water to drink. I drink plenty of water, and I'm thankful for all of it because this world was created for us. So
Hmm.
it's our paradise on earth. It was created to meet all of our needs. So why should I be mad at the rain? And why should I be upset because the clouds are out?
Yeah.
you know?
And I think at some point in time, I used to compare myself to a tree. Like whether I have leaves or not, baby, I'm strong and I stand and I'm magnificent just as I am because no tree is shaped the same way. It doesn't have the same branches or anything. And then you don't know. I may bloom one minute and just have green leaves the next. But I am abundant like that. That I have the choice to just be, knowing that, like you said, all is well. I have the choice to just be, knowing that, hey, it's coming. The next season is coming.
Well, you said that you love you see yourself as the tree, and so again that's the metaphor for life, like the seasons. There's a dormancy in the tree, but it still stands, it's still
Mhm.
alive, it's still searching, sucking up abundance and nurturance from the earth, and it doesn't have to do anything, it just bees a tree.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's why being out in nature or even looking at a tree from out of your window serves to ground you and remind you that just be like the tree. It's not
Mhm.
worried about is that the leaves fell off because it's that season of the year, because it will bud again and blossom and the leaves will come out, and it's all as it was meant to be. So the world around us, is amazing, just like us. And again, the tree just be. So why can't we just be?
And it teaches us to accept ourselves. It teaches us to be transparent with ourselves so that we can be transparent with others. Just looking at nature, it teaches you to be honest. It's okay. You got to understand that, like you said earlier, we may not have the same path, but we have some familiar spots that we can, really tap into.
And more than we think we do. You know, we're so judgmental about other people or feel less than, and we're like, oh, well, I can't connect with that sister because she's so much more than me, and who am I? We're the same,
Mm-hmm.
so speak to the spirit, speak to the heart. Um, but again, when you're open and you're in this space where you recognize that we're all the same, then those surface thoughts and that fear based stuff that we have in our minds have an opportunity. We can see it and feel it and say, okay, well, thank you for keeping me safe and keeping me small, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have that relationship and that conversation and engage and grow, because that's what we do. We're feeding each other, we're nurturing each other, we're growing together. We are opening ourselves up to experiences that we would not have if we stayed in our shell and felt like we don't have a right and a place to be, just simply be.
And I think we all have that space. We were created to have our own space. And I always kind of equivalent it to Mary Kay because I was in Mary Kay. Everybody can be a president, right? And we make room for presidents. We make room in DIQ. We make room, and so I'm every woman. So we make room for one another, not to be in front of one another, but to be beside one another, walking boldly in the earth. Knowing that we've endured some things, knowing that we had to go through some things, knowing that we had to overcome some things. All of these things are part of who we are, but that is what gave us so much experience. That is what made us bold, and that is what made us dynamic and able to stand out and speak and say the things that we have to say for one another. For the ones that aren't ready to speak, well, let me tell you, I've been in that situation. I speak for you. And you just be beside me until you're ready to speak.
Exactly. And everybody has a voice. And I know that we're taught even to sit down and be quiet. You're too loud, you're too much. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say, which is not true. But we learn those things, and we set limits on we set all the limits on ourselves. Maybe other people had some influence and taught us how to be that, but we don't have any limits. No one can tell us what is too much, what is not enough, what we are not, what we cannot, what we will not. Only you will keep that limitation on yourself, or you will get to the point where you realize, I can do what I want. And as
When
long
I
as you're not
want.
hurting anybody else when I want,
Yeah.
how I want to,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're not hurting anyone else, do you,
Mm-hmm.
be you, be more, show up for that person who needs to see a role model. Because often women of color, there was a time we didn't have too many role models. We have a few more now. But again, show up. Let go of the limitations that are only in your mind, that only you can let go of.
Amen. Now, I do agree. And I've had to let go of many limitations because I did a podcast about the word mother, right? And I realized I was so much more than what my children thought I was. And then I had to look up what the definition of mother was. Then I began to go into all the other definitions in life. Like people will call me friend, you my bestie, and all of those things had definitions, but they also had limitations on who Latiska could be.
Expectations
Hmm.
from
And so
others.
I realized that I was so much more than even what the titles people were giving me. You know,
That's
it's like,
because you're not a title. You're a title because that's how they relate to you. You're the mother, you're the wife, the bestie, you're the employee, the employer. What you are is Latiska. And that transcends any and all titles. That transcends any and all expectations that someone else will put on you. That's that outside in living, which is why you got to come from inside, because that's where everything comes from. That's where all the goodness comes from. There's greatness in having relationships and having outside experiences, but the greatest experience comes from within, and all the others are made powerful and special because when you are coming from your being. So you set the expectation, and so that's what you get. It's like how if you walk into a space where people are angry, ornery, and like ain't trying to hear nothing, but you come in just being you, then you can see how some of what they've got going on kind of disappears when it comes to you. So your space dictates what your space is on the wider scale outside of you.
and I've noticed this that positive can't be around negative. And I had to really learn this because I would be out and people would just automatically not like me. And I'm like, how do you not like me? You don't even, you haven't even met me, hadn't even had one conversation with me. But it was something inside of them that said I was this, and this. So that's when I began to understand that I cannot control what another person thinks. And so because I can't control what you think, I can't be concerned about how you feel and how you know what you're saying because I'm a reflection of you. You are a woman. Okay? I would never talk down on another woman because I am that. I want to see the best in you. I want to find it for myself. But to tear you down is to tear myself down. What I do to you, I've done unto myself.
Well, you know that what we see on the outside, the people that we encounter, the situations that we walk into are reflections of who we are inside. So if we are in our spirit that ornery person, then that's what we're going to attract. That's what we're going to see. But if we are more open and caring and forgiving and just being, then, like you said, the light and the dark does not live together. It cannot. So oftentimes you're not going to have to deal with something that is outside of your character because there's no space for anything except who you are being to show up in your life, which is a good thing.
It is. Now that it is. And getting to that point where you can go through those transitions, understand how the moon works, understand what these transitions of the moon is doing to you on the inner works, because all the planets and everything is inside of each and every individual. We are the universe, our own universe. So what is going on in my universe may not be going on in Yaminah's universe, but I will tell you this: we must be on the same vibration to even be interacting with one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's because we each are the creators of our world and we get to determine what will be in our world and what will show up for us. So um, it's that spirit thing. So if your spirit isn't aligned with what's going on in my world, it's not likely that we'll come together. But
Mm.
we are. feeling that oneness, that alignment, we are soul sisters, then we will show up for each other. We'll be there. It's how God makes everything work. You know, we get what we need and what is good for us. We're not going to get things that trip us up so much. But we get tripped up because we're human and we have our human moments and we're thinking the things. And so the trip up things will show up. And it's an opportunity to stop and take a look and, again, get grounded. Take a breath and see what's going on. Like, what have I been thinking about? Like, what have I been feeling? So that we can have that tune up. So we can go out refreshed and renewed.
Okay. Now, may I ask, do you have a tip for us today?
My tip for today, give me a moment to see what shows up for me. For me, it always comes back to gratitude. Being thankful for what is present in my life right now. And usually we'll find that there's so much more to be grateful for than to whine and cry about. And knowing that whining and crying never does help. It just means that we need to stop, take a look, and see what we're thinking about, how we're acting, who we're being. So, um, being thankful and having gratitude helps keep my head on straight. That's
And
my
my tip for today would be take a few minutes a day just to breathe. Breathe in 5 counts, hold it 5 counts, breathe out 5 counts. I usually say in my breathing out, God's breath. So, God's breath. So it reminds me that God is with me, has been with me, loves me, adores me. And as I look up and look out, I am the center of attraction of the whole entire universe. I am grateful for the essence and the presence of the God in me. And I honor the God in you as an individual.
That's a great tip. And it encompasses that gratefulness and knowing where it all comes from. So your tip is my tip is your tip, and it works. And
And let's put them
it's
together, y'all. Let's put them together.
put them
Work,
together.
look like the church folks. Put it together.
This has
Yeah, I
been
mean,
so.
I appreciate you, and I want you guys to know we're doing this every Thursday, 7:30. Going to be prepared to get your mind blown by two of God's beautiful, 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 beautiful ones. We are the powerful ones, and so the powerful ones have teamed up to give the world light, love, inspiration, tips on how to get closer to the one that is within us all. I
And
mean,
you are that one. That's why you're here. If you were not, you would not be here. So you are powerful. You are that one. You are that special one that God has touched and anointed. So, yes, we are happy to be here and in conversation with Spirit.
so make sure you guys show up so that you can get some information because sometimes I will tell you in my journey, I mean, I don't know. Didn't nobody help me. I don't think. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to find out the hard way. It was like I was on the rough side of the mountain for a
Well,
long
again,
time.
we had to we had to take the journey that laid in front of us. And it feels hard. It's hard when you're going through that, but we can look back and see what is and appreciate again the other side of the track. So we were built for whatever it is we
Oh,
need
you
to
better
walk through.
look. I had to hug myself. Built for it. We were built for life. We are indestructible. forces that were built for life, built to last through any freaking thing.
Yes. So what is that Ford truck? Is that what their thing is?
Yes,
And I wasn't even
man.
thinking about Ford truck because we just aren't built for it.
Yeah, we are built for life. You know, whatever the up is, we're built for. Whatever the down is, we're built for it.
And then all the things, just say thank you. Be grateful.
For it all, because it all works together for the good of them that love. What?
Always.
What? For the good of them that love. And I would say this, begin to look in the mirror. I think this is the most powerful point for tonight. Begin to look in the mirror and attach yourself to the presence of God in you. Tell the God in you that you love it. Tell the God in you thank you for being present in your life. Tell the God in you, look in your own eyes and just tell the God in you that you appreciate every breath that He has ever given you. You appreciate the blood that's flowing in your body, the structure of how you look. Everything about you is magnificent.
I agree. Thank you.
Love you guys. We're out. Okay, Darkest. I hope I'm saying your name. Darkest Tabitha Goodwin. I know that's right, baby. I want you to do that for yourself, Darkest. And I pray I'm saying your name right. We love you. We will see you next week.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Let's see how we gonna do this. Let's end this thing, y'all.